This is episode 69, Steve. I'm 100% mature. That's not funny in the slightest.
No, not at all. I am surprised we are at that number of episodes, and I was being asked about this recently, like, how did this ever start? And I'm trying to go back and remember, like, how did we start doing this? Like, what was the origin story?
We wanted to talk about personas.
No. We did not say, hey, let's talk about personas. What do we need to do? Let's start a podcast. I think it was the podcast was started, and I think, was it your idea?
Yeah, it's something I'd been thinking about for a while. And then one day I was like, yeah, we're just going to start it and use some tools that we're familiar with and see what happens and learn new tools. So,
okay. And how did you decide on the participants?
So I like the format. There's a million podcasts out there, right? And a lot of them have like an agenda and all that. But really the thing that I like, the type of podcast that I prefer to listen to, are ones that are just people are having a good time and with their friends, and they're not D-bags and they're goofing around and telling funny stories and everything. Because I think there's so much content of people, like, of serious things, and it doesn't seem like there's a lot of content, at least from in the podcast space, of non-serious things. And so that's kind of what it is. So you get like these serious podcasts, and then they'll have like an episode or 2 or 3 a year where it's not so serious. And I'm like, well,
okay.
I wonder if people would like it if it's just not serious all the time.
But how did you decide, like, we need Jess and we need Steve? I don't, like, that still doesn't, that doesn't track for me, like, because we didn't really know each other that well.
No, I don't know. It really was like this whole persona thing, and I'd talk to you and Jess individually, and you guys didn't agree with me.
So it really was that. I don't even remember that. Okay, I was thinking, like, hey, you're making this up.
No,
I'm thinking you're like pressing my button, you're poking the bear on the persona thing, and I'm like, no. How did it really did start that way? I had no idea. When did we start talking about that?
Oh, that was like April of 2021.
Okay.
Something like that.
Was it like at some company meeting?
Oh, I don't know exactly how that started. I think I probably was just like randomly meeting with you, like individually, and had just mentioned that. And it seemed like there were strong opinions about it. And I'm like, this might be fun.
Okay.
And so I was like, it will be fun to talk about this thing and like see what everybody thinks. And then like at the last second, I'd flipped my stance on it, which I think is hilarious.
That's funny. I am, I have to probably rack my brain to figure out how you roped me into this. Because I really don't remember. And someone was asking me this, like, how did you end up doing this? And I'm like, I got no idea.
Yeah, because I don't think we worked at a couple places together. And yeah, like, to your point, it's not like we did hang out on a number of happy hours and stuff, but I wasn't around those happy hours as much as like other people were. So yeah, we knew each other, but not as well as like other people, and probably not even you and Jess. My guess is you guys probably knew each other better than you and I did at that time as well. So
Well,
Yeah.
I guess I'm just riding the coattails of you and Jess to fame and glory. I cannot tell you how much money the residuals that are rolling in from this podcast are.
Yeah,
I
it's
might.
100% of free, so
Oh my
that's
god.
pretty good.
Yep.
And so I just episodes, because we had this lag in the episodes, as far as when they would go out versus when we record them. And so 50, everything up to 65 is out now as of this morning. And then over the next 3 days, so Friday, Saturday, and Monday, 67, 68, or 66, 67, and 68 will be released. And then this one will be released before, probably Wednesday, before the next recording. And then we'll go to like this. I want this because I've kind of streamlined the workflow. And so I want this to just kind of, like, I don't do a lot of editing anymore. There isn't really a reason to do editing. We've all been on this other podcast for the company, and which was a big thing for us. And so it's mostly just like there's no reason to wait to have a lag, I don't think. And it's like if we want to take time off, we just take time off, and then there's no episodes, because there were times when I had such a backlog and it just, like, I just couldn't do it. I couldn't edit them, so like they're like 6 weeks of nothing anyway.
Gotcha. So I have a hot topic today I want to cover. And I encountered this today. And it got me all riled up earlier today, and I'm kind of over it now. But
Those 3 beers probably helped.
Yeah. In the middle of my 3rd beer, it does help. At my client, there's a particular manager who apparently likes to manage by always being on the offensive and by managing by fear. And I was just like, what are you doing? It was crazy. I was like, it was the kind of thing that maybe 10 years ago I would have had an absolute aneurysm about. Today, I'm like, that is totally stupid. And I'm upset about it, but I'm not going to lose any sleep over it. But, have you ever encountered that? And it's like, how do those people survive in those roles?
Yeah, I mean, it seems like those people are a dime a dozen. Like, that's the... There's a group of people whose training should be de-escalation, but the training that they've been getting has been, it's very clear that their training is to escalate it, to get to a point where they can do something that they want to do. And it's similar with like these people in these roles. They're supposed to be the de-escalators. They're supposed to de-escalate situations. They're supposed to be the interference for teams. They're not supposed to be doing that. And, that's not the best way to do it, in my opinion. So my guess is they're probably projecting quite a bit onto the team. And they do like this move. Anytime anything comes towards them, they're just like, oh, there's the team, hit them.
Yep. You do the big ole. Yep. Yeah.
And so I think, like, especially your place, that's that culture, though. Like, there's a bunch of people there that are like that, which is, so I think for that particular place, it's a company culture.
I've been able to avoid it for the most part, but this person is notorious for it.
Yeah.
And I think I've just been exposed to this person more lately, and I'm like, I have very little tolerance for it. Now, on the other hand, there are a couple other people I work very regularly with that are like great. And one in particular is like, sort of restores my faith that organizations can put the right people in the right roles of management where they are truly leaders. So I've experienced that too. But the fact that this person is allowed to continue to exhibit this behavior, which is well known across the org, it's like this gets to the managers do the bare minimum to not ruffle feathers anywhere.
Yeah. Yep.
Anyway, that was my hot button today. My hot take was this person totally having the wrong facts and blaming everyone else without knowing anything that was going on. And I was like, all right, well, I'll just wait for the meeting tomorrow, and then I'm going to lay everything out for you and see what you say. And if you're still going to be on the offensive, I may have to call the person on it. Like, wait a minute, walk me through how you got here. So
yeah, I'm those people, to me it's fun because they're already like angry and riled up, right? And that's how they do things, by fear. And then when you don't respond to that pisses them off so much. Like they have so they do it more, and then you become like a target, and then they keep doing it and you keep not responding, and like they cannot deal with it. They can't deal with it. It's funny to me.
Yeah, I think that's very true. Because I think we had to respond 3 times in a row with the same statement that tried to de-escalate it all, to go, no, here's where it's at, here's what's going on, we're okay. And it was just repeatedly trying to press buttons. And I was like, fascinating.
Yeah. There was one time at that organization, they hate the color red. And they'd missed a date on something, and I made it red. Like, and they were all losing their, like, seriously, they were like, can we change it to any other color than red? I'm like, it's not. What? They're like, purple. I'm like, you guys, like, it is, all this means is that the date got missed, and then when we do it, the red goes away. Like, it's not a big deal.
Yeah.
And it wasn't a big deal. Like, I don't know where their fear of the color red came from. But yeah, they were like, well, it's not really red. I'm like, this was the date and it got missed. How's it not red? Like, that date's in the past now and it's still not done.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I've seen people physically shrink in chairs when, they're not necessarily like, it wasn't a situation where that person ruled by fear, but it was a situation where that person, they had touted themselves the expert in this particular thing, and they were just dead wrong. Because they weren't looking at the data, they weren't paying attention, they were just going off of their gut. Everything was emotive. And so then it came to a point where they couldn't ignore it anymore. And they were in a meeting, and someone was like, well, how come we didn't know this? And the person that had the data that was being ignored was like, we have all the data, like, we knew that this was the thing, and then laid it all out. And just to see somebody like physically shrink in their chair while they're just getting destroyed in like the nicest way possible, because it's not like that person got fired after that. Like, that's, to me, that's like the big fear thing. A lot of places I've been, the place we were at before this place, it was like, well, if I don't do it, I'm gonna get fired. Like, if I, we had that one instance where someone had done some work and they'd just straight up done it wrong. They did it whatever way they wanted to, and then rather than fix it, they colluded with somebody else and changed the scope of what it is they were supposed to do, which didn't meet what the ask was in the first place. And so it was like, I'm like, well, you guys are absolutely insane. So rather than to just fix it and do it right, you're going to change it and then deliver it, and you're going to have to redo it to do it right anyway because it doesn't meet the need. Like, that's, just be like, yeah, we did it wrong. I need like a couple more days or a week or whatever. It's not a big deal.
Awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. Those fear mongers, like I appreciate them earlier on in my career because I got exposed to it so much that it just doesn't work on me anymore. Like no fear mongering works, It- which is great for me. And I'm sure you're in that place too, where it's like, so they're freaking out, their hair's on fire, and it's like, well, okay, like your hair can be on fire, that's fine.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It still kind of irritates me though when the person was trying to throw like our team under the bus,
Yep.
and we were bending over backward to handle their emergency thing
Yep.
and fit it in and get it released, and then they were like, oh no, this isn't this they didn't even say this isn't what we asked for. They just said, where was the meeting to discuss this? And I had already had a meeting with their representative who said we need to do this. And I'm like, well, I already met with this person. This is what they said. Did you not want me to take them at their word and say, no, we need a meeting with people I don't know to invite?
Yes, I've found I've had experiences, I'm sure you have too, where it's like people, they just, something happens, there's some kind of emergency, and your team gets blamed, and then your team does all the work, and then what comes out is that it wasn't your team's thing anyway. It was something else, somewhere else that had broken that impacted your team. And they've done all this PR to make your team look bad, and then we finally find what happens, and it's never discussed ever again. Like, yep. It's never like...
Exactly. Sweep that under the rug.
Right.
Nothing to see here. Exactly.
Yeah, and so I've learned that it's like, yeah, you know, sometimes that happens where people badmouth your team and stuff, but it's like, it all kind of, it's not a thing where like people just straight up get fired for stuff like dude, corporate America is insane. You get so many chances to screw up. It's crazy. I've seen people walked out for sure. So if you do something like, first of all, you do something really bad, but you have to repeatedly do it. You don't just do it one time and then get walked out. You have to do it more than once and then you get walked out. And more often than not, you're just allowed to leave. They push you out by putting you in places you don't want to be, but you're allowed to leave on your own.
Right.
And so this whole, you know, I feel bad for developers specifically because it seems to me like they feel like they're going to get fired if they don't produce a certain amount or if they break something or something. And that's just not the case. I've never really seen that. I was at a place where this issue I was referencing, there was an Apache configuration that was wrong, and it brought down their entire site for like 4 hours on the biggest shopping day of the year. Right? And it's like, you would think that everybody everybody would be fired. No, that's not what happened at all.
Yeah.
4 hours of early morning triage, everybody got it fixed and back up and running, no big deal. So yeah, I don't know. I feel like, to me it's funny when I run into people like that. Like it's amusing to me to piss them off. To just, because it's like you're not even doing anything. Like you're just being yourself, and that they're just irritated, and they can't get over it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I don't know, is that they're expecting to elicit some other reaction?
Yeah, it's all like, I don't know if it's all narcissistic, but it's all like, I mean, basically they're bad people.
Yeah. This felt like this person's reaction was, don't confuse me with facts that don't support my narrative.
100%. That's how they operate. 100%.
Yep.
They do, like, the mental gymnastics they do are insane. And in real time, contradicting themselves too. Like if you walk them through things logically, they're always like backed into a corner or backing out or like punching a hole in a wall to get out. Like it's crazy the stuff that they do. And then the problem is like they're supported in that behavior. That's just dumb. That's the dumbest part of all.
Mm-hmm.
Is that like leadership, whatever, their managers above them, they don't care. They allow them to do that.
Yeah.
So my drama from the streamers. So that one, she finally did stream, and
She did. Okay.
She did, and I did jump on, and I watched it, and she like really briefly talked about it, and her things like, I messed up. People are mad at me. People aren't going to work with me anymore. It is what it is. I'm trying to make changes. And there's like a lot of other personal stuff that was going on apparently that she didn't necessarily talk about that she kind of alluded to. And so it was like a whole thing. It was like she wasn't like in a very good place when this stuff took place anyway. So yeah, but kudos to her for being like, I screwed up and people are mad at me and people don't like me and it is what it is and there's nothing I can do and I'm sorry and that's it. And she had even, when she was talking about it, she had said she had started to say, I'm sorry if I made people feel that way, and she corrected herself to just, nope, I'm sorry. And I'm like, that was pretty cool. Not a ton of people do that.
Yep.
So it's all, I don't know if it's resolved, but it's like it's over.
Huh. Well, at least it didn't spiral out of control and get worse.
Yeah.
I've seen that.
Yep. Oh yeah. That's usually how it goes. Usually spirals.
Yeah. Yeah, there was a big, kerfuffle a couple of years ago about an online game where this one guy sort of created this fictitious sexual assault going on in the game, and all the other players that were involved in the game were very uncomfortable with it, and it basically ended the game. And his apology, in quotes, was just made it worse.
Yeah.
It was what you alluded to, which is, well, I'm sorry this, upset you. And it was just a half-ass apology. And I don't even know if that person is streaming anymore or anything. I have no idea.
Yeah. I don't, is it, yeah, this particular streamer had also she'd said a quote about some other famous person who'd talked about, you have two options when stuff like this happens. One is to basically, do PR and damage control, and the other is to double down. And then they're like, there's a third one where you can just take a break and not participate in it at all and not look at it. And I'm like, yeah. We don't have to deal with that though. It's great not being famous.
Well, keep in mind, we could possibly have doubled our listenership, so you never know. We might be into double digits by now.
I don't know. I don't think so, but if we are, it's like preteen numbers, like 10.
You probably see the numbers, I do not. So.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know anything about podcasting, really. It's just like,
other than that, you record it all and edit it and post it and publish it and
yeah, it's the marketing part I'm bad at. But since it's a hobby, I don't want to pay for that.
And then if we had, thousands of listeners, I might be more self-conscious about anything I say. Right now, it's like, I don't give a frick. I'm going to say whatever. Although that might have more to do with the beer consumption quotient
Right.
than anything else.
Well, the beauty is, if we were ever to gain that many, everything's out there anyway, so they can go watch it. So even if you're embarrassed about some of the stuff you said, it's already out there.
That's true. That's true.
Which
They're
I tried.
probably
We do have. There is one episode that we skipped, or that I skipped, that's not published.
Yeah. Was it a complete hot mess?
I can't remember if it's the one where Jess is in the airport drinking. I wouldn't call it a hot mess. Like, there was a theme. It was very linear. I thought it was very well structured. The content, like, I edited it and I was like ready to go, and I'm like, I'm gonna hold off on this for a minute and just wait a little bit.
Oh, I don't even remember what that was. I remember. I remember cutting the episode, but I don't remember the content.
Yeah, so I'm like, maybe this will be like our Patreon only people or something. some exclusive content somewhere.
Oh, that's great.
Because I was like, at the time when I did that, I was like, well, there might be more of these, so maybe I'll hold on to it. But no, there haven't been any more. And not a lot of heavy editing needed lately anyway, which is really great. So, yeah, I don't think I had any topics in mind. The drama, I was wanting to tell you guys about that.
Mm-hmm. There's a hot topic in D&D circles today.
Oh, I heard about that. I heard about that.
Yes. Oh, yeah. So for anyone who's listening to this 3 weeks ago, or whenever this publishes, Wizards of the Coast, the owners of Dungeons and Dragons, have been toying with the idea of updating this OGL, or open game license, which historically has allowed people to create content, modules, rules, whatever, associated with Dungeons and Dragons, but it's their own, and they can publish it and they can earn money off it. Well, now Wizards of the Coast is saying, basically, we want to take on that. We want to charge royalties, or if you don't make that much on it, that's fine, but whatever you publish is our material and we can do with it what we want. And this has the potential to actually ruin Dungeons and Dragons.
Yep,
like
100%.
Absolutely. There are so many people pissed. Like, there were people unsubscribing from this server that was a source of income for them, such that the server was rendering page errors because so many people were unsubscribing. And talk about reading your audience wrong.
Dude, seriously. Yeah.
They stepped in it big time. Wow.
It's the classic thing. They do make money now, or they don't make money now.
They do
make money now. Yeah, so to me it's the classic thing. It's the, how can I make more money, and I don't care how many people I hurt or what I do to the product, as long as, my guess is they're looking, I don't know, maybe these people are looking to retire or something. But it's what it, like, I want to make more money. And it's like, I don't understand, if the whole thing is community based, why wouldn't you work with the community and be like, hey, we want to make more money. How can we do that and still provide a good product? Like, here are some options we've been thinking about. What are your thoughts? Like, right. What would you guys support? Type deal. Like, and yeah, to your point, just they're completely out of touch with who's, like, maybe they're upset that this should have been done 4 years ago when Stranger Things came out and it really started popping off.
Who knows?
Because they probably could have done it then, and still made a bunch of money because I think Stranger Things would have gotten more and more people into it, and they would have just sucked it up and paid the money or whatever.
Sure.
But yeah, now
Yeah,
it's kind of
they
petering
openly
out.
came out and said that the game is under monetized. I mean, they basically said that, and so it's like, okay, what are you gonna try to get more of the pie on this? And they took it in a direction that infuriated people.
Well, and that's the whole thing too, is like under monetized doesn't mean not at all. And it's like, when was it under monetized? And are you saying it's under monetized because you see the potential to make more money and you think it's under monetized, or under monetized like you need more money to live now and like it's like a real problem for you all of a sudden? My guess is it's the former. It's the, we missed the boat on the cash cow and now we want to make up for it.
Yep.
I hope one of two things. I hope they don't do it and they walk it back, and I hope if they do it, that it dies and they make no money.
Yeah.
All I saw was someone in a chat had made like 2 comments, something about the 4 SE or something like that, and they were like, this will kill it, it's like this thing, and they made a reference to those things, and I'm like, uh-oh, because I mean, didn't it have a little bit of a rocky past too with it was just the rule set. Didn't they update the rules like 7 years ago, 10 years ago?
Right. Yeah, it was about 7-8 years ago where they updated the rule set and had what is the current version.
Yeah.
And that has been a pretty popular version. But what's interesting to me is, with the advent of Stranger Things and the online Critical Role, it has done nothing but help their brand, and they are looking at that as, we should have gotten some of the money from that, and rather than look at it as, how can we work with people who are doing this to increase our presence and our footprint. Instead, they're saying we want some of that, and the community is basically saying, F you, and we're going to do our own thing, and we're not even going to use your product anymore.
Yep. As they should.
Yep. Which is, quite frankly, a little bit heartwarming to me. when people have the power to say, no, sorry, bad move, and we're gonna show you how bad that is. So
and really it's like their timing just couldn't have been more terrible. Like, people been getting kicked around for the last like 3 years everywhere in their life, and you take that away, like that is the easiest thing for them to give up on. Like that might just push a whole bunch of people just got pushed over the edge.
Yep. So
yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens.
Yeah.
Who knows? I know people that still won't play any game by Blizzard because of it's a really interesting thing, right? Because they don't want to support a company that has, management that's really terrible and mean to employees and marginalize people. But at the same time, those people still work at that company, and if they don't support the company, those are the people that get hurt the most, not the managers.
Absolutely. And 100%. And apparently there was some employee that leaked the information that was going on in this case, and
good for them.
They were like, this is not what I signed up for, and here's what they're doing.
Yeah.
And here, everybody, have a field day with it. Get out your pitchforks and torches, because here we go. So it's too bad.
it's funny to me because it's like companies never learn, I guess. I don't know, like Facebook. So back when Facebook was like newish, and you remember there was that time period where they changed their UI like every 3 months, like every quarter, and people would lose their minds over it. Nobody's changed. People are still like that. Well, I think a lot of those people might be a little bit older now, so maybe some younger people are a little bit less resistant to change.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's just they run people over. They just think they can do whatever they want and get away with it. It's nice that they probably are not in this instance. Did you ever get into LARPing? Have I ever asked you that before?
No, not my jam. I don't begrudge anybody who does it, but never been a passion for me.
Yeah, I love, like, Monster Camp is like my favorite documentary about LARPing. It's such a good movie.
Is that the one with
If you're gonna name an actor, no.
Okay, I was gonna name an actor.
No, this is real people in like some Seattle chapter or something.
Oh, okay.
It's a blast. It was on Netflix, which is how I found it in the first place. And there was also, I was just thinking about this. Netflix was so good, and I feel like it's just trash now. And it was so good because they had like the weirdest, most indie things on their platform available. So I have 3 examples of movies that I watched on Netflix when streaming had just kind of come out. They were like the only ones that were doing it. So the first one is this movie called Tire, which is about a tire that has telekinetic capabilities and can kill people. Not the wheel, just the rubber part.
Okay.
Phenomenal. And I'm pretty sure it's spelled Tyre too. It's great.
Okay.
It was so bad I couldn't watch it at one time. I had to chunk it up in like 3 different viewing sessions.
Okay.
There's
a ringing endorsement for you, by the way.
Hey,
our listening audience, Tire. It's a 3-part movie.
I don't. It's like Dune, right? It's like my expectations were low, so like I was watching it for 3 hours. Like I didn't feel like it was a waste of time, but I wasn't like that's the best movie ever either at the same time. So same thing, like these 45-minute chunks, like I was watching it for that 45 minutes. The second one was Monster Camp / Second Skin. Monster Camp is way better. Second Skin is hilarious because it's about this woman that created. This is not cool. I believe that her son he either died or committed suicide. Either way, he ended up not alive anymore. And she blamed video games on it. So she started a video game addiction recovery thing in her house, and it follows like a couple who met online. It follows her. It follows this guy that was enrolled in her program. It's great in my opinion. And then the third one is Chennai Express, Bollywood movie. It's the first Bollywood movie I ever watched, and it's phenomenal because Bollywood movies are so different than like Western movies. They're twice as long, and there's like multiple crescendos in the movie, which is like, it's just straight up a roller coaster. It's crazy. It's a musical. All of them are musicals.
Huh. Okay.
So now my point was, so Monster Camp, I don't know if they pulled it off, but it came off of Netflix. You can't find it anywhere streaming, but you can purchase the DVD for like $20 from their website.
Really?
Yes. I may actually buy it here soon because I've been wanting to watch it again.
Did you ever? I could swear one of the great movies I saw, one of those indie movies, is What We Do in Shadows. Did you ever see that?
No, I
The
didn't see
movie,
that.
and then they made a series of it. That was a classic. It was a mockumentary about these vampires that lived together.
And that sounds pretty great.
The movie opens with one of the vampires going, basically like, I do all the dishes in the house. This is bullshit. That's basically how it opens. It's awesome.
No, I'll have to look for that one too.
And Beth turned me onto that one.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, that's pretty good. Yeah. Within 5 minutes, I was like, okay, I'm in. I'm in for the duration of this. I want to say maybe they had like the wheel with the pointer about who had to do dishes and something like that. It was pretty